in relation to Fifita, I was talking about him on Thursday night. It was a massive gamble from the Titans. You just don't see clubs going out and paying reportedly $1.2 million to an edge player. Usually it's a 9, it's a 7, sometimes it's a 6 or it's a 1. But you don't get edge players getting that sort of money for the pure fact that they can't always get their hands on the football. They rely on other people to do a lot of the work for them. So Taumalolo's one example of a forward who plays in the middle. So he's just always engaged in the contest. Unfortunately for Fifita, and I think the back rowers that go looking for it, and I think Viliame Kikau is one of them, and they're talking about some big money for him. But again, I think the most an edge player should get is $700,000 or $800,000. Because you're going to rely on the guys on the inside to get you the football when you need it. And if Kikau's not playing at Penrith and he does say go to the Dragons, he mightn't have anywhere near the same impact because he's obviously not playing with the same quality of player. Now, Fifita at the moment struggling because their halves aren't in great touch at the moment. He to me, he doesn't look as fit as what he should. And he's not going looking for the game. So now you need to sit back and think, okay, well, and everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, but you only can take the money that's offered to you. And I totally understand that statement. But you also need to think about where you're going, what sort of scrutiny you're going to be under, and how much impact you can have before you take a salary like that, as opposed to taking $800,000 or $900,000 from another club, which is still a huge wage, but it's more in line with what people in those positions are getting paid. Now, I know that he can do things that not many other people in the game can do. But before he does that, he needs to do things that every other back rower in the competition is doing. He needs to get his work rate up.
Yep.
And then on the back of that, I think all the good things will come. But I don't know if he's ever going to be able to justify the pay packet that he's on because he just doesn't play that style of role.
Well, it becomes a millstone around your neck, doesn't it? We've seen it with Anthony Milford, Ash Taylor, the $1 million man tag, and it just it weighs you down. It's so hard to live up to it.
It's not similar to worrying Lionel Messi getting
no,
paid.
that's a bit different. He's maybe the greatest footballer we've ever seen. Dave's probably not the greatest footballer we're ever going to see. So, I mean, it's going to be a real mental challenge, I reckon, for Dave Fifita. And they're going to have to be careful with how Gold Coast are going to have to be careful with how they handle him and they handle it, because if his form doesn't pick up, this is going to shadow him for 3 years. He's got a 3-year deal up there, and the price tag is going to follow him wherever he goes over the next 3 years. So, they've got to find a way to get him close to matching that paycheck, or it's just going to be, as I said, a millstone around his neck.
I think it's pretty elementary, to be honest. I think they've got to move him in the middle, just get him closer to the action, either front row or lock, and play as many minutes as you can. And that 11-letter word called expectation that a lot of people can't live up to, a lot of people thrive upon it, on that type of money, and a lot of people don't. At the moment, I think it looks like he's playing on his mind every time he plays, because he just doesn't look enthusiastic. He doesn't. He had 2 runs in the first 30 minutes on Thursday night, and they put a kick down the Titans, and he was the last bloke to chase down, so he wasn't buggered. It's the want and the need that you want to give your teammates in a time of need, which the Titans wanted him the other night to come into the game. Obviously what Gerd said is right on the money. That when you're on an edge play, you can't get the ball when you want it. But there's nothing stopping him from saying, give me a hit up. This happened to me and Johnny Cartwright more second rowers. Obviously not as bad as these days when you've got to stay in that 5-metre run, train track. But when I wasn't getting in the game, I said, just give me a hit up. I need a couple of hit ups just to get me back in, so my blood starts to boil a bit. And the more he sits down that edge not watching the game, the more he flounders.